Hi, everybody. We're just doing a short little interview with Rainer Simon, and Rainer is the developer of Tiny Triple IF. So we're hoping that this interview will go well. It's my first. I have a list of questions prepared for Rainer about the product. So thanks for coming, Rainer.
Thank you.
Okay, so can you just start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you first got involved in Triple IF?
Sure. Yeah. So, hello, everybody. My name is Rainer. I'm an independent consultant and software developer in the digital humanities area. That means I work with research labs, individual scholars, cultural heritage professionals to build tools mostly and help them with technical aspects. I mostly build bespoke software. And yeah, how did I get involved with IIIF? So for several years, I've been building annotation tools for text annotation and image annotation, and really the kind of intersection between image annotation and cultural heritage is what led me into IIIF. So that's kind of the way I came to through annotation and then getting involved more with IIIF and also with the different aspects of IIIF, like publishing IIIF versus consuming IIIF and so on.
Yeah, so I mean that leads me on to what my next question was going to be was like what led you to create it then. So, eh, what was the gap that you saw that led to your kind of what was the light bulb moment there for you?
Yeah, so the gap that we saw was actually triggered by a specific project that I started with a former colleague of mine. So we were just trying for a very small project to get stuff online as IIIF. So we had essentially just a folder of images, which we wanted to put on the web as IIIF. And we noticed that's not really a good solution for the simple cases, right? So IIIF is very institutional and the big digital asset management systems, they support IIIF. But if you're an individual and just want to build something like a small exhibition, it's kind of difficult, right? Um, so either you have to set up a collection management system yourself, and we tried doing this with Omeka, which is a pretty good solution that I always recommend. But in this case, it actually felt like overkill. So we really didn't want to set up a system. We didn't want to set up all the plugins that you need to support IIIF. And then still you have a learning curve. You need to set up the records, associate images. So lots of stuff that you need to do to get your images online as IIIF. So what we did in our case back then was that we did everything manually. So we set up individual components, an image server, a web server, and then hand edited the configuration files. So it was really kind of a coding process. Like you're there, you're coding up all your components of the stack. And in a way, it felt this is a real gap. So getting stuff online as IIIF just easily for small collections wasn't there. So that was really what triggered me to start playing with the idea of IIIF, which does, it's not an asset management system. It's just simple, but it's also something that you can set up in a few minutes. That was the whole idea behind it.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. So I'm conscious that there's quite a range of people who might be watching this interview, from archivists to academics who want to use IIIF, and then just people who have never even heard of
Right.
IIIF in the first place. So I just want to try to cater for as many different people as possible. So my next question then was in relation to, can you just describe Tiny IIIF to somebody who's only just finding out about IIIF? I mean, just very briefly, you can explain what IIIF is, the benefit
Yeah.
of it, and then where Tiny IIIF fits in. I'll just add that even myself, for full disclosure, I am an archivist who manages small, medium, and small size
Mhm.
collections. That's my angle. That's why I'm so interested in it. But I'll take it away there, Rainer.
Yeah, a very good question. Yeah, so IIIF. So I think so. IIIF is many things in a way, but I think the two aspects that I find most important personally, yeah, there are two of them. So one is IIIF is a standard that allows you to publish high resolution images on the web in a way that allows for streaming. So it's a bit like you have a gigapixel image, which might be many, many gigabytes in size, but people can still access it instantly A bit like with Google Maps, you don't obviously download the whole world map data at once. You just start with a low resolution map. And then as you zoom in and focus on an area, you progressively get more details. And IIIF does the same thing for images. So you have a very high resolution image, you get a low resolution preview initially, and you can zoom in all the detail. And I guess that's kind of the most exciting thing that people notice first about IIIF, because it kind of looks great, but it's really just one small aspect. The other aspect is, so IIIF comes from cultural heritage. That means people are actually more concerned with objects rather than images. So it might be an archaeological artifact which has been photographed from all sides, or it might be a manuscript which has like photos of the cover and the back and 400 pages and whatever. And IIIF also has the technical means to describe the structural properties of an object. So that's the second thing. And IIIF uses something called a manifest. So that's kind of a data file which has all the metadata. What object is that? How is it structured? Does it have a table of contents? What's the metadata and so on? So that's also one part of IIIF. There's more, but these two parts are the things that Tiny IIIF tries to address. So in principle, what you can do with Tiny IIIF is it's one package which is easy to set up. So you will need your own server. So that's kind of a requirement, of course. But after that, you set it up very quickly. You get a nice user interface, which allows you to upload images. So then you get the streaming part, and then you can organize your images into folders, and that will create the objects. So it's very quick to set up a simple structure and get all the streaming from IIIF, and also get this whole structural process of the IIIF manifests without hand coding writing any configuration files or whatever. It's just drag and drop, and that's it.
Yeah, no, thanks. Because if I'm going to add to that as well, just to say that when I was first learning about IIIF, is I think it was understanding the background that the institutions were kind of reinventing the wheel. Each institution had its own. So when they came together to create IIIF, it was an agreement on standards, which just makes it so much easier for the display across institutions of the digital objects. So that's sort of the thing that struck me most about the benefit of IIIF. And then when I saw Tiny IIIF, it was the simplification of what was a complex process, and anything to kind of make this to take the whole headache out of the various stages you need to do in deploying IIIF is always very welcome. So we'll see in a few minutes what that looks like. I just have a few more questions before that. I think you already answered this question, but I'll ask it anyway. Like, what do you say are the main features and capabilities that make Tiny IIIF stand out from the other IIIF servers or viewers?
Yeah, right. I think most of that, it's about the simplicity, as you say. So, and in a way, I mean, Tiny IIIF doesn't really do much, right? It doesn't really do much. It's just a publishing platform. But what it does, it makes, hopefully, incredibly simple. So it's a one-line deployment. It's easy to set up. Nothing to configure. So you can configure things, but the defaults are pretty sensible, so you don't have to configure things. And it gives you all the individual components: the image server, the web server, the manifest hosting, the production setup in one package, and then adds a user interface, which is really easy to use. So as I would say, that's what makes it stand out, is the simplicity of the whole thing. And the rest, as you say, IIIF is all about standardization, which means people can use any of the different publishing systems out there, and it will be compatible with all the different viewers out there, and in between they can mix and match. So Tiny IIIF can coexist with the whole ecosystem.
Yeah, my other question then was, like, how lightweight is it? Like, what are the technical requirements for somebody who wants to run it?
Yeah, good question. So in principle, the technical requirements are only defined by the image server. That's the only bit underneath the hood that requires performance. So that's the part that gives you this whole reading the image file and streaming the image file to the browser. So TinyIIIF is open in terms of what image server you can use, at least to some extent. It comes as a package that does not include the image server, but has a configuration. So you don't have to care about that as the user. It's just like a configuration option. But the two options currently are a server called IIP image and the other one's called Cantaloupe. Both of those are really popular choices in the community. And IIP image is a little bit less resource hungry. I would say if you have a simple server with a single CPU and 2 GB of RAM, that will already serve as the bare basics. I mean, as always, the more the better. And if your images are bigger, if your traffic goes higher, you might want to upgrade that to more RAM. And also storage space is also a question, of course, depending on the images. But really, that's where it starts. So very, very low and very low memory consumption. TinyIIIF, the application itself is negligible, I would say, in this regard, also because it's only really used by the administrator. So only if you administrate the system, you are actually using the TinyIIIF application. After that, once you're in production, it's just an image server and a web server for the manifests.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay, so Rainer, could you just walk us through a simple use case? Rainer's going to share a screen now. For example, how a small archive or library might want to use TinyIIIF with their images or manuscripts.
Sure. Yeah, I think I'm just going to share my screen. I guess my main use case is like either individual researchers or just small teams that have images on their own computer and just want to get it published. So just a second. So you should see the screen of TinyIIIF now. That's what it looks like.
Actually, no, it's not coming up. Oh yeah, now we got it. Okay.
Okay. Right. So this is what it is, an empty kind of canvas. And I'll just import a bunch of images now. So it's really, just a second. Yeah. So that easy, you just drop in the images. And that's basically all you need to do to get the image service working. So already now, what happened behind the scenes was that the images got uploaded to the image server, and they're already served as IIIF images. You don't have the structure part yet, what IIIF calls the presentation API, but you already have the kind of the deep zooming functionality. That's already done. So the next thing that you might want to do next is you create a manifest, which gives the structure object. So I create a manifest, and I'll just call it my first manifest. And then I can just drag images into it. And as soon as I have that, so I have a manifest, it has one image, and that's all there is to it to publish a IIIF manifest. Up here, you have a little context menu, and you can preview it in the different viewers. So IIIF has lots of options available of viewers. In this case, I'm just going to pick one. So that's already that we're outside of TinyIIIF now. So this is kind of the external world. It's already published as IIIF, and an external viewer can simply display this. Just going back quickly, of course, we might want to add all the images. I'm going to select them all, drag them in. And again, if I go back to the viewer, I'll just refresh the page. And as you can see down here, now we have the other images there as well. You can also reorder things. Let's take this ocean picture here first. I refresh and already updated. So through the drag and drop interface, every change gets published instantly. And that's really all there is to it, right? So just stopping the screen share.
Yeah, and I think one of the things to emphasize to the viewers who are only just finding out about IIIF or have vaguely heard of it and have never properly used it, the thing to emphasize is before this, you have to have a separate image server. Then you have to generate the manifests in a manifest editor. Then you have to either manually connect the images. It was such a long and tedious process that would turn off the average person from actually using this. But now with this product, it's just completely it's all there in one. So in terms of, just get back to the tech side of it, then how can it handle, performance, scalability, and compatibility with the other tools? Now I know you already sort of showed this, but maybe just talk a bit more.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, in terms of performance and scalability, it's essentially a web application, so you just scale it the same way. I mean, my own personal kind of focus has always been on smaller setups. So you probably, if you have one server, it's already enough, and you would scale it like by adding RAM, by adding disk space. But apart from that, it just uses standard web server components underneath. So you would put it behind a load balancer or whatever. So it's pretty much standard technology in terms of how you scale it. So there is no magic or nothing kind of that's different from the norm. And compatibility, yeah, I think if to just drop some of the tech jargon, in terms of IIIF, there's various kind of different standards involved, which they call the APIs, and they have different versions. So what Tiny IIIF supports at the moment is Image API version 2 and 3. Those are the kind of most common ones. And the Presentation API version 3. I don't support the old Presentation API standard at the moment. I don't think that's necessary. More interesting, perhaps, is that we currently have upcoming the next version of IIIF standard, Presentation API version 4. So that's not officially released yet, but I definitely have my eyes on that, and that will also come as soon as it's released formally.
Cool. So the next issue is the community. Like, what's the response of the IIIF community been like so far? And have you seen any surprising ways that people are using it?
Yeah. So first off, to say it's really new. The whole project is like a month old, so there's not been a lot of use. But some people have been trying it out. And one of the first feedbacks that I got was from a person who told me, yeah, so I don't know a lot about IIIF, but this project actually lowered the threshold so much that I could try it out. And that's kind of the feedback that I was hoping for. People will vaguely be aware of what IIIF is and what it does, but who would get scared off by the complexity of most systems, either because the systems are big and complicated to set up, or because, as you said just before, there is so much kind of hand wrangling involved, like setting up individual components, editing configuration files, making sure that the URLs from the images match the URLs in the manifest. So there's a lot of stuff that you need to do, and that's scary. And with a product like that, it is as easy as it should be.
That's exactly it, and that's why I'm so excited, because you're going to have academics who maybe want to set up their own particular individual sites to display their work, their research. They're going to have archivists who are working for small to medium-sized community archives, and they just simply want to be able to display some of their material. And and yet most of those categories of people are people who are not managing servers with terminals and backends and all this kind of stuff. It's just really, as you said there, it lowers the threshold. My broader next question was, like, did you intend it? Is this more as a teaching tool, prototyping environment, or is it like something that's a production ready solution? How would you?
Yeah, let me guess two answers to that. So yes, it's definitely meant for production, simply because there are two parts of it, right? So it's the user interface part, that's kind of the Tiny IIIF contribution, and that's work in progress, right? But that's how you manage your collection. Once the collection is up and running, it's simply using established and mature components. So there is a mature image server underneath the hood, either Cantaloupe or IIP image. There's a web server, which is Nginx, which is kind of one of the standard web servers. So that's all totally production ready. I guess there's also a second question of audience. So I'm thinking more about people who would use this with their own personal collections, like individual scholars and people in teaching. So that's kind of the target audience is more in that area, I would say. Education and classical digital humanities research, which is where I come from.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's to for full disclosure to people watching. That's where you're coming from. But then me myself coming from a point of view of where there are archivists who don't necessarily have the a budget or a massive IT department behind them. They want to be able to use it maybe only for a small occasional use, and it also is very, very useful for them. What advice would you give to somebody who's considering contributing or extending the project?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's new. My advice would simply be don't be shy. Just if try it out. It's licensed open source under the MIT license, which for those who don't know is like pretty much the most liberal open source license that you can get. It's like basically do what you want. And you should. So try it out. And if there's something that you have questions about or that doesn't work, so there is a repository on GitHub with a ticketing system. So my advice would be try it out, try to break it, and definitely get in touch with me if you have any questions. And it's really important at this stage because it's so new. It's really important for me to see what people do with it and how it works for people.
Okay, so can you tell me then in terms of future and broader context, where do you see the IIIF ecosystem heading in the next few years, especially for smaller institutions with limited resources?
Yeah, it's a great question. So personally, kind of with my tech head on, I think in the next few years, it's going to be especially exciting for the small institutions. Because when I came into IIIF, it really felt like a very kind of institutional setting with people who develop big asset management systems, like kind of hogging the space. I always came kind from the scholarly angle with low budget, small collections. And I think that over the past 1-2 years, there was really a lot of development, especially in that sector. So really the smaller solutions, also smaller, or let's say a broader range of tools, like more viewers are coming up. So there have been new viewers released just in the past 2 years. Also viewers more focused on annotation, for example, or just viewers that make using IIIF content more than just viewing IIIF content. So I think that's one of the things that's going to be interesting, that there's now much more available in terms of how you can use IIIF content. But also in terms of the publishing, yeah, small projects like Tiny IIIF, of course, but also projects like, I don't know, All Maps, for example. That's a kind of a IIIF initiative dealing specifically with content from map libraries. So they look into geospatially focused. These kind of niche things are popping up more now. And I think that is going to be really interesting over the next years because it opens up IIIF to smaller communities as well and not just the big institutions.
And in relation to Tiny, like, are there any features or integrations for the future that you have planned?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I'm working on right now is a proper manifest editor. So you already saw in the screencast that you can create a folder and you drop images in, but you don't yet have the ability to edit the detailed metadata. So IIIF as a standard has lots and lots of options of what you can put into metadata, like rights metadata, attaching Creative Commons licenses, things like that. So I think that Tiny IIIF isn't really complete until that works. So that's kind of my key priority now. Should be done in the next weeks, like in the next month. And after that, I think that's kind of the first package to really make it usable in a production setting. And after that, I think I'll just take a small break to see what people are doing with it and what feedback they give me. I mean, I have lots of ideas. I guess one of the things that I would personally like to have is a little bit of lightweight traffic analysis, because if you publish your collection, you also want to know how it's being used. So definitely nothing that's heavy or kind of privacy invasive, but just basic counters that will show you which objects people have been looking at over time and how much. So that's one of the areas that I want to look into. And another aspect, I guess, is also just enabling connections to various forms of other parts that you might have in your infrastructure, like enrichment tools, for example. Much of the IIIF content could be written documents, so you might want to push something out to an OCR engine and get the transcription spec. And something like that could be especially exciting because IIIF as a standard allows you to easily embed this kind of information. So if you have a document with text, you can embed the text transcription into the manifest. So it feels like Tiny IIIF could be a nice kind of dashboard from where to pull this into the manifest. So that's also something that's kind of the mid and longer term agenda, making it more of a dashboard to also do something with your content.
Excellent. Last question then is, what do you think there's one thing that you hope people will take away from using it?
I hope they find it useful. That's really all I'm hoping for. So as I said, it doesn't do much, but what it does do is it makes it simple. So I hope that people who might have shied away from IIIF initially because it requires big systems will take a look at Tiny IIIF, will try it out, and hope that it works for them. And if it doesn't, or if something breaks, they should definitely not be shy and reach out to me and let me know and get in touch.
Yeah, and that was going to be, so then for there's two streams of people who will probably be watching this. For the more technically minded people who are competent to be able to set up their own servers and run this and know what GitHub is and all of that, what do you advise for those people to do if they want to experiment with it?
Yeah, for the technical people, I think the GitHub repository is probably enough. There's also a small landing page, which is coming up now called tinyIIIF.org. And this has documentation. And yeah, at the moment, that's all it has. A little bit of documentation, plus the means contact addresses to get in touch. I think that's my main advice.
Yeah, and so I'll add in there as well for the non-technical people for whom I'm really, they're close at heart to me. I've set up a server where I'm running micro instances of it. So I'm offering that, and you'll hopefully be doing that as well in the future yourself. So for whoever wants to do it, no matter whether you're technical or non-technical, just reach out to me or Rainer about it, and we'll take it from there. So just to thank you very much for coming on. And I hope we've made the lives of archivists and academics a lot easier after this. So thank you.
Thank you.